So we did the whole New York Comic-Con talk, and now we have JawzD with us. He's back again.
Yo, yo.
And so JawzD is going to give his hot takes on everything, and I figured we'd use this as an opportunity kind of to do a little overview of everything now that we've seen at New York Comic-Con. I mean, when I was kind of discussing it, I was doing it as it was happening, and we were learning new information as it was happening. So this could be kind of, I guess we'll call it cleanup work on top of that, so we with better ideas. And then, of course, get your take on some of this stuff, too. So, like, the first thing we'll tackle is the big reveal of that weekend, which was that of the Headmaster Titan class Scorponok and how that's going to be happening. So what do you think about that one?
Pardon me, surprised, but I do know that we talked about this before quite a few times. I think during the which series had headmasters? Like, which modern series had headmasters in it?
Titans Returns. Yeah.
So it was Titans Returns, and then remember we had that big. They were releasing all the headmasters in like a box set or something, and then there was like a written thing, and it had Scorponok on it, but I don't think they released one.
Okay. So what he's referring to, yeah, you're true. That's true. I totally forgot about that. So a while back they did that poster. The Triptychon poster that had the Triptychon cereal kind of thing.
Yeah.
And on the back of that poster, it listed a whole bunch of headmasters, and it was kind of like, it kind of doubled as like a checklist in a lot of ways, because it listed a whole bunch of headmasters and even some, well, Titan Masters in this case, and even some Titan Masters that were like San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. Like there was like the Titan Master for like Shredicus Maximus, the skateboard Optimus Prime and stuff.
Some really good ones in there. Some really
and
silly
on
ones,
there
was
a Zarek, and so a lot of people were just kind of going like, what does this mean? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's
true. So
true.
I think that checklist is finally done. No?
Yeah, now it's done. Like now pretty much everything is covered. So what I want to also bring up with this was when I initially saw like the images of this, and they were like, you know, it's us watching the live stream footage with Andre the Black Nerd interviewing Hasbro. And
I'm happy for him. He's moving on up. I like that. I really, really, really do.
Well, you know how he was actually there? He was there for the Power Ranger stuff, and then it kind of segued into Transformers, because Power Rangers is more his jam.
Well, I mean, like, I know the other YouTuber that's pretty big on Transformers is, what's her name? Lindsay...
Nostalgia Chick.
Nostalgia Chick is really big on it too. So I mean, he probably like, hey, what if I just parlay over here as well? You know, so I don't blame him at all.
So when he was doing the interview, that was probably the time we got the best shots of it, because like unfortunately that never made it to the glass case, so we never really got HD shots of it. But from what I was able to see of it, what's cool is because what people and stuff that I totally forgot to talk about, what people tend to forget about Scorponok is that Fortress Maximus was one of these. The original Fortress Maximus was one of these large toys that it transformed into a head, and then its head had a head. You know, like it was standard Headmaster scale transformation head, went on to a larger deluxe scale kind of thing, and then that became a head for a larger figure. The original Scorponok, even though fictionally was supposed to kind of stand, you know, nose to nose with him, was not so much the case with the toys. With the original Scorponok toy, he just had the one standard Headmaster head that plugged into the figure, and that was it. So to kind of combat that, what they did, and it's kind of clever, and I totally forgot to talk about this, and I'm glad that we have this segment now, because we could kind of do some housekeeping in a lot of ways. So what they're doing now is they're going to do the same gimmick that Fortress Maximus had, where you have the smaller standard Titan Master head or Headmaster head that'll combine with a larger deluxe robot, which never existed before with Scorponok, and then that larger deluxe robot will become the larger head for the figure to keep with that scale. What's cool is from a design standpoint, the smaller robot head has the design cues of the Season 4 American look for Zarek, while the larger deluxe body robot modes designs looks like how Scorponok looked in the Japanese Headmaster anime. So we get both aesthetics in one figure, which is pretty cool. Mainly because, you know, one doesn't have to adhere to the other, because one of them never existed in any fiction. So that's pretty cool, though, that they kind of did that. And I mean, I just wanted to bring that up because it was something I didn't catch the first time because like the footage that we had wasn't the best, and I was kind of like doing it live at that moment when it was happening. And I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome that they did that, and it's good because the biggest sore point with a lot of people, I mean, yeah, okay, talking about scale with Transformers is always a silly thing, but when you look back at the old G1 toys, it's like, here's Fortress Maximus, he's massive, and Scorponok, again, nothing to like, squint about, still one of the largest Transformers of all time, but considerably smaller than Fortress Maximus, but fictionally these were two guys that were supposed to go up against each other.
And it's funny because I was with Steven Keener and seeing people bring their Fortress Maximus and bring their Scorponoks because he voiced both of them,
yeah.
in the American series. So just seeing how giant Fortress Maximus was, and then Scorponok wasn't too bad,
Yeah, but it's just, and that's just it. So to kind of like even it out, they create that double headmaster gimmick so that it makes sense. Because to be honest, if you kept that small headmaster and you put it on the big robot, it's going to look silly.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of do that, and it's smart. It's a very smart move. It's not like 100% accurate to the original fiction, but at least it's able to close the gap and make it look really good. In terms of size, and we're going to have our next Titan next year, and again that opens it up to, okay, are we going to get a Black Zarek repaint? It's really cool that we're getting this. I'm very excited about it.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
So this Zarek is next to what's his name, Starscream. So this Starscream is a Voyager, right?
Yeah, so that's the next thing we'll use this as a segue.
Like I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I'm just kind of confused about the size of this Zarek now.
It's the next thing we're going to talk about anyway. So the next thing that they brought out, and they also debuted it in that panel, is they're showing here their next. So the next series, because we had Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, that was our Generations line, and the one going into 2020 is going to be called Earthrise. Now, Earthrise, we already had in Siege, we had a Tetrajet Starscream. Looked very Generation 1 accurate in terms of the robot mode, but still had the alt mode that looked like his Cybertronian thing. So for Earthrise, we're getting yet another Seeker Jet Starscream that's going to be a Voyager. And from what they said, and this is John Warden's words, not mine, he said that this is better than the Masterpiece. And apparently it's a yeah, I know. Well, that's why. Better than the Masterpiece, but he says what it was a combination of learning from previous Starscream toys combined with what we learned from the Masterpiece. What I see, in all honesty, because this was one that actually did show up in the glass cases and in photos, and I got some good photos of it, he looks like a blown-up classic Starscream.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, they're redoing classic Starscream,
with
but
extra articulation, maybe. I'm like, there's a neck swivel. It looks like, I guess, but maybe there's less articulation. Some people are saying there's less articulation in some areas, but it looks like a blown up classic Starscream. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a hater, but that's what it looks like to me. So, I mean, especially the way that the back kibble is, like the way that if you see like the way that the jet front hangs in the back, that's exactly like classic Starscream. Like the Masterpiece one doesn't have that same kibble. So, like you said, ballsy statement.
I was gonna say it kind of seems like a lot of the, I guess, this current War for Cybertron trilogy is they're taking the the Masterpiece stuff and then kind of scaling it down, or older Masterpiece stuff and scale. It seems like they're all in that kind of same lane, that same vibe going on.
The theme that I was going with, and I was saying this a lot, was it seems like the gimmick this year, outside of the Micromaster thing, the gimmick this year is, hey, do you want affordable Masterpiece toys but couldn't afford Masterpiece toys? Or, hey, those classics toys that you have? Well, get ready to send them to TFCon's charity auction because here's better versions of those. And we'll get into that, especially with some of the other characters that we're going to reveal here. But yeah, the Starscream, I mean, it's a Voyager scale, so according to them, it scales better with some of the other characters. So I could kind of agree with that. I feel that, yeah, if you kind of look at the lineage of what is classics Starscreams, let's ignore Masterpiece for a second in that statement. But from the classic standpoint, yeah, that probably would be the best one at the moment, even counting, like, let's say going all the way back to 2016 with that first one. I mean, the colors are accurate. It's going to have a slightly more articulation, I guess, from what I could see. And it'll scale properly with your Megatron and Optimus, which are also going to be Voyager scales. So, I always felt that if Megatron's going to be throwing around a Starscream, you should at least be face-to-face with him. So... So it's to have like a Voyager Megatron and then a Starscream. Like if your standard Classics displays Starscream is that old, Classics one or the repaints down the line, they're all going to be deluxe scale. Yeah. So I think that this one kind of comes in and does a better job. Again, being a Voyager, slightly larger, slightly better paint, more detail because it's larger, so more surfaces to give detail. I like it. Don't get me wrong.
I'm hoping that it has a thigh swivel. Like I'm seeing the
some people are saying there's less. I know.
But I'm feeling like there isn't.
I can't confirm it though. I can't confirm it, but there's people who like really have been staring hard at this and going, I don't think it has some articulation in some areas. So I don't want to confirm it because I don't know. I haven't messed with it myself. My only complaint is, and it's not really a complaint, but it's like when they did that Siege one, that was the Tetrajet. Man, they repainted the F out of that thing. Like
Can you get a Skywarp on its own, or is it in a
No, you have to get
pack?
it in that combo pack there. So, but like they did the Rainmakers in a 3-pack.
Yep.
They did Red Wing. They repainted the F out of that mold in like the short time that we've had it. Like literally.
Or maybe it's like get while the getting's good kind of thing.
Totally.
Because we already know that the Classics one. Remember the joke that we have with the Classics one is that basically that mold is to dust.
Oh yeah, that mold is finished. It's like by the time.
But then I also wonder what's going on with like the Masterpiece Optimus Prime MP10. I think.
If you want
that one has been stamped.
I want to just to cover that statement to give an example of how bad that mold is now. That old Starscream mold. One of the last pressings of that mold was, and this is a warning for people if you own this toy because it happened to me when I worked on the subscription service for BotCon and Fun Publication. One of the last times that mold was ever pressed was we did a character called Nacelle, which was like, or Nassel, depending how you want to pronounce it. And it was like the red, white, and blue Starscream mold. It was kind of like an homage to an unreleased toy while it doubles as an homage to that old McDonald's Commandrons toys. Remember that?
Okay.
So if you mess with that mold near the wings are going to break. That's how bad the mold is. So because it wasn't able to press the small pieces properly to get dense plastic, so the wings could potentially break off during transformation. Not when it was first released, but over time because of the oxygen. It's kind of like a GPS situation.
No, not another GPS situation.
But on white plastic.
That is weird.
Yeah, and it's not. I'm actually trying to reach for it, but fuck it. Anyways, it's just the thing is that it's not really even a GPS thing. It's just because the mold was so bad that it couldn't press the plastic. It's a mess. It's a mess, and that mold's done, and it's goodbye. And now we're gonna use this Voyager one from Earthrise, and it's gonna get a billion colors. And like if Siege is any indication of what they did with those Seeker jets already, it's gonna be the same thing here. So this is your better one. I mean, some people are happy about it. Some people are not crazy about it, but I think that it's the right thing to do because, I mean, let's be real. That Starscream mold that we had before was from 2006. It's a long time ago. 13 years ago, that mold. So time for an update. Yeah, sure, it's a blown up version of it with little tweaks here and there.
And I mean, if they did a deluxe version, I think they were going to end up doing a blown up version down the line regardless. And I think most of the... what was the other one? What was the other Seeker jets they did based off of the redone Jetfire mold? Remember those?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like,
so like those were Voyagers, but they weren't like originally Seeker jet molds. They were like Jetfire.
Those were ones where it's just like, yeah, we have this Jetfire mold. What do we do with it? And then they're just like, and it's a leader class too, which is expensive.
Oh, excuse me, leader class. My bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
and it was a leader class, so it was expensive. So they're just like, yeah, let's do Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker. It's $79 a pop in Canada. And then those went on clearance, so at least it worked out in the end. But regardless of the point, like it's a reality. It's a reality with some of these things, and so like we got that Starscream. And what we'll do is we'll use this as a segue. We'll jump into the next one, which is, so now we have like all the other deluxes and everything, and essentially this is what it gets to what I was saying, where it seems like the overall, like we'll talk first about the ones that are what I feel like Masterpiece Junior or replacing stuff that you already have. So we'll start first with like an example of, let's say, a Masterpiece Junior in that of Grapple. So Grapple was one of those things where, number one, hey, remember that old Generations toy you had, like Solar Storm Grapple or whatever it was? Yeah, that thing's useless now because we have this. And it wasn't a terrible toy, the old one, but it wasn't what people really want, which is G1 accurate 100%. And this one, I mean, this Earthrise one looks like they took the Masterpiece toy, made it more affordable, gave it some little tweaks here and there, you know, obviously including the gimmick where it has the little holes so you could put all the little 3-millimeter weapons and stuff. But I mean, it's about as perfect as I imagine it could be.
Well, one thing I kind of did dig about the grapples that they did and all their remolds and recoloring was that you could just basically do the brothers from Gal Gaigar.
Oh yeah. Well,
so I mean, if they do the same thing with this, then yay.
Well, there's the way I see it is, for sure we'll get an Inferno from this. It'll be a big retool and stuff because they're not going to use that head sculpt and everything. But again, what I like is they include that little extra accessory, like that claw accessory, which actually made a small appearance in Generation 1. Him and Hoist used that claw accessory to pick up rocks and stuff. So again, really obscure reference, but it's cool that's included. And then, of course, what's also really cool is the hands, they flip out that it could be standard, like, you know, hands that could hold a weapon, or they flip around and then they have millimeter peg holes to put accessories. So because Grapple, much like Inferno, they had that little, like, you know, extra hole that they could put a missile in. This is the original Generation 1 toy. A missile or a fist. And so in the show, when Flair O'Deary redid the designs to match the show, you know, he was like, okay, so Inferno's going to have like a hand that could be used for, like, you know, fire retardant foam and stuff. And in the case of Grapple, it could be a hand that could be used for welding or whatever. So I really dig that they gave that extra option. I mean, this is about as good as it's going to get for a Grapple toy in a Voyager price point. Of that, like, I feel like there's no way you could revisit this character and get any better than it already is within its budget. And it to me, if you didn't pick up the Masterpiece one, this is a great alternative and much more affordable. So, I mean, anything else you want to cover on that one?
Release them in blue and in green, and we're in business.
Oh, dude, like,
just milk it. Might as well milk it.
If you look at that old mold that they came from, they did all the colors of the rainbow.
There you go.
They did Hotspot in blue. They did even some G2 characters, like I think Clutch was one of them. They did a whole bunch. Like they milked the hell out of it. It's a truck with a crane that clearly is going to get remolded to become a fire ladder. So that's like 12 different characters they could do right there if they want to. I mean, even they took that Onslaught mold and they made an Inferno out of it. So like there's a lot that could be done with that. Like we're seeing a lot of extensive remolds now with a lot of Transformers too. So there's probably stuff we're not even seeing that could be done with this mold too in the future.
And that's always fun when those come out, when we're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. Oh, well, man.
Like you'll see a toy and it'll be like, wow, that's a great toy. And it's like, yeah, you know, we used like the Grapple mold to do that, right? And it's like, what? You know, it's like you don't even see it
like
anymore.
Ecto 1?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Ecto 1 is a great example of that, where they use the Onslaught mold, where it's like it's so retooled that you have no idea. The next one we'll go on to, and it's kind of the same thing, and it's kind of like his brother in a lot of ways in the show, was Hoist. Now, Hoist up to this point, and see what's funny about this is he never had a Masterpiece toy. He was one of those masterpieces that were always teased. Oh, we're going to do Trail Cutter or Trail Breaker and Hoist one day. And they never got around to it. And then this comes out And it's like, well, I guess you're not going to need the Masterpiece toy really unless you really want it. But what's cool about it is it's the G1 toy with all the little aesthetics that Fluro Deary added to the animation model. And it's about as perfect as it gets. And just like in the case of Grapple, that old Generations toy is now in the bargain bin. Like now people are going to be getting rid of it because this thing, it hits all the cues. And what I like most about it is there's a gimmick-wide thing that's going on with Earthrise where there's all these like little Micromaster ramps and stuff. And so even those Micromaster ramps attached to his back ramp over there that he has.
Okay, I see it.
So we'll discuss that when we get to a specific character specifically and how that gimmick works, and even Optimus is going to have that. But it's just this is a pretty cool guy, and again, he has the interchangeable gimmicks. He could have his little welding hand or his regular hand because it's a weapon. Looks great. He's going to be repainted for sure. What do you think of this guy?
I think he's pretty cool, but I don't think I really got into Hoist a lot. So I mean, like, it's cool that he's here. It's kind of sad that he doesn't get a masterpiece, like, because people are always waiting for those masterpieces. But I mean, I think this is a good compromise, for now, or a good thing to tide you over until that comes out.
He'll still get a masterpiece, but I think that this kind of hurts it a bit in the sense that people are going to get this one, and then when the masterpiece comes out and more or less does the same thing that this will do, that people will be like, like the others, like Inferno, Grapple, they got the masterpieces first before Generations did anything of a G1 cartoon accurate manner. So, I mean, again, and Hoist, some people don't feel him because, he was in Hollywood Hoist. He was in very few episodes. But, I mean, I still appreciate what's going on here because it's once again, takes a toy that existed before and does it way better and does something that I could see even on a masterpiece level. And speaking of doing something on a masterpiece level, let's talk about Wheeljack. As someone who feels that the Masterpiece Wheeljack is like one of those perfect toys, like just like there's nothing I could have done to make it better, especially if you get the anime accurate one. Like even the colors are amazing. I'm surprised how close they were able to do the Lancia here within the limitations of having to pay a license, I guess, or something. But
yeah, because I think I don't know who owns the license to Lancia right now, but I know they don't. I know that car company doesn't exist, but maybe. I don't know if it's Ferrari someone must have, or somebody in the Fiat group owns them, probably.
Someone probably still has the trademark for sure. But it's one of those things, again, if you didn't get Wheeljack and you want an affordable alternative and you're not happy with the two previous Generations releases, we got one during Universe 2.0 and we got one during Generations when they did like the Combiner Wars thing. This is the best one of the bunch. It's the most accurate to how he looked in the animation model. And again, comes with his little gun. He does everything that needs to be done to be a good Wheeljack toy. And again, what I have to do a little house cleaning in terms of when I was first talking about this toy, I thought that shield accessory came with him. That's actually a separate character, which we'll talk about when we get to the Micromasters. They were just kind of showing it as a, and it could be used as a shield and here's Wheeljack holding him for some reason. But anyways, I'm really excited. What do you think of him in general?
He's pretty badass looking. I'm surprised that it looks this good and that so much little details are done with him.
Well, it's something I want to put it next to the Masterpiece because it's like it's pretty up there.
I mean, I still have a really good soft spot for the Classics one and the Masterpiece one, and I just like the fact that he's still got the wings on his back and everything like that. The fact that they got that in there.
It's pretty crazy what's going on. We're getting, like I said, to me, it's like budget Masterpiece.
And you know what I think it is? I think it's his wings, his back, his wings on the rear of the car. I think that's what it is.
You think it's the spoiler?
It's the spoiler. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, it's very true if they did it like that. Next, we'll go to the one that I wanted to probably like talk on, and probably the one that was most people are excited about instead of Cliffjumper. Now, Cliffjumper has, it's been a while since he's had his own original mold. He's always been one of these guys that it's always like, where's the Bumblebee repaint? You know, and even with the Bumblebee movie, they did a Legends Cliffjumper that was just a Volkswagen repaint from the Bumblebee movie. And I was just like, man, that's just, even though he was in the movie too, which is like, that's even more killer. They couldn't have just given his own toy, you know? Yeah, sure, he died. I get it. Spoiler. But I mean, at this point, but, you know, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you couldn't have at least given him like, you know. But so this is really cool. What I want to talk about this before we get to the alt mode, because the alt mode is a whole polarizing thing in itself. And I know we had a discussion online about that. But I just want to talk about the robot mode first. I swear, when I first saw this, I was like, man, like the old Bumblebee masterpiece, like I think it was Bumblebee MP22, I think it was. The first Bumblebee masterpiece, which is what they did with that masterpiece was the alt mode wasn't like the squished down Chrono Q Bumblebee that we're used to. It was the more realistic size Volkswagen Beetle. And then it had the proportions of how that masterpiece was. I feel like this toy is like the spiritual successor of that for Cliffjumper, in that, because when you look at like Cliffjumper's alt mode in the show, or when you look at Cliffjumper's alt mode as a toy, like the original Generation 1 1984, I mean, people don't get that vibe that he was a Porsche because of him being that Chrono Q Microman squished design where he's a small version of it. So the compromise where they do that here and they go, okay, we're going to keep that full size alt mode. If you put this Cliffjumper, and I posted an image on my Twitter that got a lot of traction because a lot of people agreed with me on this. If you put this figure next to the old masterpiece Bumblebee 1.0, it looks like they belong with each other. I mean, if you ignore that like little peg hole on his forearm for the gimmick that exists in the line, you wouldn't even know. Like I almost feel like they have the same engineering. It's kind of crazy. And I'm really curious when this figure comes out, how he's going to look side by side with Bumblebee, the old masterpiece. Like I just feel like this was like the engineering from a Cliffjumper toy that was going to be for Masterpiece, and then he said, we couldn't get the Porsche license back then, so let's put it aside for now. But I mean, I again really dig that he has that bazooka. That's part of his, like, you know, his gimmick in the first episode of G1, so pretty cool. But let's get to that alt mode and what it is exactly.
Fight.
So when I first saw the images of this, and the images were taken by, I want to say it was either Brian Kilby or Tony Fitz or one of the guys from TFU.info. I didn't get a good 100% clear shot of the front of the car. But the problem is my boss owns the 924 Turbo, but his is, I think, an 86 version. But it's just, and it was in red. Now it's pink because it's so faded, the paint. And I used to see that car every day from behind. Every day, because it was always parked. And so the shot that I got of this alt mode was from the side and behind. And I got so excited, going like, oh my God, they got the Porsche. They got the Porsche license. This is amazing. Because that like the way that spoiler is, the way the lip is, I mean, if they would have painted that lip black, it's 100% like the original actual car in real life, because they used like a more foamy rubber spoiler in real life. Even the mags are 100% like it. It's like it's the Porsche standard mags, which is crazy too. So but
did you are you almost finished or?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say,
Okay.
I didn't get a good shot of the front yet. And so what I was basing also a lot of my opinions on was, well, okay, I could see the alt mode of the robot mode. I could see the robot mode. So the robot mode gave me a kind of a look at the front, and I'm seeing the grille and pop-up headlights. So I'm going, hey, it's still the Porsche. I didn't see that hood scoop. It wasn't. I couldn't see that hood scoop in the shots that I got, like, because it was like a side view and it was kind of grainy, and then the back view, and then when you have the good shots in robot mode, the hood scoop wasn't as obvious.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's you could see it now in retrospect if you look at the robot mode and you look at the legs and you go, okay, there they are on the feet.
Yeah.
But
you're not really looking at the feet all the time.
No, of course not. But it's just so then when that hood scoop
as Red said in Shawshank Redemption, not a lot of people look down at your feet, at your shoes.
Oh, it's true. That's how you break.
When Andy Dufresne walked out with them nice shoes, people don't really look down at your shoes.
And that's the case
here.
here.
I'm paraphrasing. It's close to that, though.
Great movie, by the way, for people who haven't seen it. So the thing is that hood scoop, when combined with the big picture of things, because, I mean, the reality is if you're a car person, everyone's kind of aping from each other.
Yeah.
When you look at the old Porsches, you see the Datsuns, you see the 944s, you see the 924s, the 925s, the 911s. Like there's all kinds of that kind of style from that late 70s, early 80s with those sports hatchback two-door coupes. And what is the car this actually is?
Ooh, so I'm going to kind of give a shout out to somebody on Twitter, Blink_Drive. So he posted up something saying Cliffjumper is a GD Mitsubishi Staron with the sought after 83 hood,
which is fascinating.
So he showed his work. This person definitely showed their work. They showed you what the original car looks like, and you're like, huh, there's the fender flares, like the bulges coming out from the wheel well kind of thing.
Yeah.
The front of the hood with the black grill going all around the front.
Like 3-piece grill, pretty much.
And then there's a final picture with the specific hood scoop. So this might not be the Porsche.
I think that it's not anymore. I think that I was a little too excited.
And understandably so, because I mean, we did see that Porsche masterpiece some time ago. Like, it was silhouetted, and it's like, oh yeah, he's coming, but it's just like, okay,
because to me it's like, because seeing if that Cliffjumper was a Porsche, it signifies to me, here we go.
Yeah,
it's like we're to the races now. Like we're over the Volkswagen problem. We were trying to get over that one for years. Now we just need to get over the Porsche problem, maybe a little bit of Ferrari, and all the brands are on board here. Like Ferrari still is being a little stubborn. But Ferrari's
always been like that.
But luckily in the case of Ferrari, they've never been a big problem for Transformers because very few of our cars are Ferraris. So or especially important characters. So we make do with that. But in the case of Cliffjumper and of course a certain Jazz, it's a piece of history. Not to mention when you get to combiners with Dead End and stuff, it just bleeds downward. There's other characters too, but the two big ones, Jazz specifically and Cliffjumper, seeing Cliffjumper and seeing, like, I was like, oh my god, it's the 944, but me seeing the back end of it, what it is more than anything, it's the classic case of Hasbro going, you know what, this isn't alternators, this isn't a movie line toy, this isn't Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Toys that, whenever we release them, we put the stamp of the company too, because we pay rights to them.
Exactly.
Why don't we do a little combination of column A and column B? And I mean, like, this goes back as far as Armada and Robots in Disguise, even Car Robots, where sometimes they'll do little tweaks here and there so that it's a not Subaru Impreza, a not, Nissan Skyline in the case of, like, let's say, Armada Sideswipe. Like, they'll do little things here and there. So I think that it's probably a combination of whoever was the designer, and I'd love to have a talk with them, but they were probably like, look, we really want to do that 925, 924 Porsche Turbo, but we can't. So what is the closest thing we could do that's not that, and maybe do a mix of both? So that if Porsche comes after us, we'll go, no, it's a Mitsubishi. And if Mitsubishi goes after us, we go, no, it's a Porsche.
No,
like,
I think they would be in good with Mitsubishi in general, just because Japanese brands. But
I think Mitsubishi would be cool with it.
They'd be fine with that.
I'm trying to think of. There's no officially branded Mitsubishi Transformers in recent years, because I'm looking at alternators. There was none of that, and then obviously Generation 1 doesn't have any of that from the Masterpiece standpoint. And like, even the funny thing is, like, if you pick up a Super Sideburn from Robots in Disguise 2001, on the back of the packaging it has a Dodge Viper logo. It was one of the first times that Hasbro credited and gave a trademark license to a official car company. They would do that more in the future, obviously, with the movies and stuff and Masterpiece, but one of the first times ever.
I think Alternity might have some Mitsubishi. I could.
Oh shit! I think you're right.
Be wrong. I could
you're
be
right. No, you're
off.
right. I think.
I could be wrong though.
What was that? That Starscream was a weird car, but I don't know what company.
Oh
it is.
No, that's a completely different company. It's not Mitsubishi.
Yeah. But it's not part of Mitsubishi.
It's like a Orochi something or other.
Yeah, Orochi. There you go. Yeah, the Orochi, whatever. But yeah, anyways, but the point is, this was a very, like, people were like freaking out over this because, again, Cliffjumper never really got his own original mold in a very long time. And like I said in my other video, like, hey, Cliffjumper was like, because of how much of an unoriginal mold he was, he practically started the third-party genre. Like, before City Commander, there was the Cliffjumper upgrade kit by Fans Project. And, like, just to make him a little different from that classics one. And another cool thing is he has the skis from that, again, really obscure stuff. One episode, Dinobot Island Part 2, hey, Cliffjumper, remember that time you were like, with sea spray and going on water skis to attack the pirates because they were going back in time and stuff? Yeah, that episode here, have some water skis. So nice little touch. Very excited about this. This, out of everything we've discussed right now up to this point, that's one of the day one purchases right there. That's one that I'm very excited to pick up. Again, love Porsche, love the color red, love Cliffjumper, love the little extra details. He'll fit in just nice. The last deluxe that I want to talk about is that of Ironworks. And
here we go.
He's probably the one I'm probably the most excited about, only because I'm a big Micromaster guy, so is JawzD. And what is going on here is absolute madness. But, let's put it this way. The TF Wiki guys are going to have a hell of a time explaining this from a character standpoint, because I don't even know where... Like, the thing is that Ironworks, like, whenever we had those old Micromaster stations, the name of the product applied to the little Micromaster character that came with it. Like, when you bought the Ironworks Micromaster station, you technically were getting Ironworks, the little Micromaster character, and the station, I guess, was called Ironworks too. Who knows? Like, we just assumed it was the name of the character. And we had a repaint of one of the Micromaster trucks recently in the 10-pack that was called Iron Tread. And we just assumed, well, they don't have the Ironworks trademark. It's going to be called Iron Tread. And that is that. This comes out. It's called Ironworks. And it has a robot mode. And what's crazy about it, it has a city mode. It has the transformed base mode. And it breaks apart to be like a parts former, so it can attach to other characters, and this is going to probably lead to a whole bunch of customizing later. You could see those universal, like, there's all the universal pegs, and then on top of that, like I just mentioned before with Hoist, that universal, like, flap joint, which could be attached for, like, ramps and stuff. And then it has a robot mode on top of that, which makes the character of Ironworks like a city former. This is nuts. and what's crazy is that I kind of hope, because I look at this in the same way like we look at Brunt and some of those other, like, parts formers that we had from Siege. We had Brunt, we had Six Gun, we had, and those were like one per wave. Like, we had one per of. So I'm kind of hoping that at least there'll be one per wave. Because, like, this clearly, everything we've seen thus far from this deluxe standpoint, this is going to be all Wave 1 deluxe. That's what I'm predicting here. So hopefully Wave 2 will give us another character like that. And between you and me, I hope it's all just that. Like, if they could do only these kind of characters, I'd be excited. But I think that they're going to do similar to, like, what they did with Siege. Every wave will have that one parts former character that could also, his pieces could be attached to other characters too. But I think this is
I also wanted to
cool.
Give another shout out. So when this guy was announced, I was like, oh, he's just missing that bright red windmill. How can they not give us that bright red iconic windmill from the Ironworks playset. And guess what? I retweeted this on my Twitter page from Prize Inside at BMOG Toys.
Trent Troop, for people that don't know. Trent Troop, he was the one who did a lot of cool stuff. We talked about him actually in one of our TFCon third-party panels. He was the one who did the Rob the Robot combiner pieces.
Nice.
Trent's a super talented guy. More credit to him how quickly he put this together with the news recently. What some people were saying, and again, this isn't official, some people were pointing out because you have the peg spot where, again, the windmill should be. Some people were saying maybe the claw hand that came with hoist could double as that also, but it doesn't really do a good job of it because it's not red. But, I mean, you could kind of see what they're going with. You know what I mean? So it's one possibility, but I do agree. Like, get the Trent Troop windmill one. It won't cost you much. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's on shapeways.com. So should I give the product number or?
Well, if you type prize inside, Trent Troop, Trent as in Trent, Troop as in like a troop builder, like TROOP. He does tons of stuff. Like you're gonna go there just looking for the windmill, but his whole account is filled with tons of little accessories that you could get for your 3mm peg kind of transformer stuff, and then some. He even did Battle Beasts. Like, he did a whole bunch of cool stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. This is like right up my alley. And I guess we'll just segue quickly to with the Micromasters themselves. We have that of the Hot Rod Patrol and the Military Patrol. And when I talked about this originally, I was like, yeah, Big Daddy's back. So housekeeping here. So sad news, people. Sad news. After I read this news, I went to the trademark archive to go take a look. It seems that, okay, so we had Big Daddy back in 1991. Trademark was lost a couple of years later. No one else took it, but it just expired. In 2008, Hasbro renewed it. They did that Big Daddy toy for the movie line. It looked like it's our best classics Big Daddy, pretty much. And then it expired again. Someone took Big Daddy. So this character is officially called Daddy-O. That's going to be his trademark name, unfortunately, at the moment. But don't matter. It's still Big Daddy to me, and he looks amazing. It's a hot-rodded Bel Air, and he looks exactly like his old Micromaster toy, and this is great news. I'm very happy about that. The Military Patrol, I predicted the two characters that they were going to pick just by trademarks, because I was like, every original Micromaster Patrol had 4 characters. So when they announced, we're going to do the Military Patrol, I was like, okay, what are the characters that they have currently trademarked? Bomb Shock and Growl. Bomb Shock is right now the name that they use for the Insecticons, and Growl is one of the names of one of the dogs right now in Rescue Bots. So guess who is going to be the 2 Micromasters they're going to use? And no surprise, it's those 2. I'm just happy. Like, again, all these Micromasters, I buy them day one. I even get JawzD to sometimes track them down for me and buy because like if he sees them before me, pick it up for me. Yeah. Like I love these Micromasters. Like, I can't buy enough of them. They're the entry level price point, but they do exactly what I want them to do. Recently, I just picked up the I'm just gonna reach for it. The Decepticon Sports Car Patrol of Hyperdrive and Blackjack, and because I grew up with those two, the original ones, so I found those recently at Walmart, and I was just like so happy. Like, people are like, "What's wrong? Why are you so excited?" I'm like, "Dude, this guy right here, one of my first Transformers." I was that guy. I was that guy for a moment, even though I'm never that guy, but I was that guy. So very excited about that.
Oh, one second. I'm trying to look up something really quick here for Trip Up.
Yes.
The alt mode on Trip Up looks super familiar. And
so I initially thought they weren't going to do Trip Up because I thought he looked way too much like Tailgate, one of the mini bot Transformers. Tailgate was like the repaint of Windcharger and everything. Like, picture that in blue. Like, instead of the hot green, it's blue pretty much, and that would be, kind of Tailgate. But
I don't know why, but like the trip up I'm looking at, the alt mode, if you take off the exposed engine there,
The hot rodded
the
engine.
hot rodded engine, to me it looks like Will.i.am's car company. Remember the car that he was supposed to come out with, I Am Auto?
Now I gotta look this up.
All right, 1 second. I have the article right here, but it just
Okay.
I just remembered it right now looking at it. Let's see if I can get this to you. Boom.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, no, I Google imaged it. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So like to me, like the name, it's like Swindler, the Micromasters Swindler. Like remember, like if you read into the name a little bit, Swindle or Swindler, which one was
it's
it?
Swindler, yeah.
Swindler. So like this trip up, because the car company never got off the ground at all.
Maybe.
And I think if you look at that article that I sent you, it says.
So you're trying to say
the announcement. It's possible the car pictured above could be a custom Will.i.am DeLorean DMC-12 built by West Coast Customs, although Will.i.am is claiming it's Chrysler based.
So you think that it's one of these cases where it's like it's a Micromaster where the name has a deeper meaning?
It could be. It could be.
In this case, well, I'll tell you this right now. Like Trip Up is like, again, it was one of the old trademarks from the 90s. But again, I'm surprised that they went with Trip Up just because he looks so much like Tailgate and the color scheme and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they just, the other choices weren't appealing to them. I know that one of them looks a lot like Hot Rod, so I guess they wanted to kind of avoid that orange with the flames and stuff. But at the same time, again, I'm just happy to have more Micromasters. That's what it is more than anything. Like keep putting. I was worried that Siege was going to be the end of that price point. Like that's it. We're done with the Micromasters. We're going to do something else for that price point. So this shows we're going to keep getting Micromasters. So that means we're still due for another like 3-4 waves, each with 2 sets of Micromasters.
I'm personally hoping they finish off the race patrol. But,
I think
I worry that like what else can you do with those molds that they're missing,
I think that when you go all the way back to Armada and they did those mini cons and what reverberated afterwards, which I mean like those mini cons were made in 2001 and literally up to like 2006, 2007, those molds were still getting repainted, remolded, and reissued like crazy. It's the same thing here. Make a whole bunch of molds. I know that like some of them it's like they need to rely on, well, we got to repaint it into this afterwards. That's fine. Make a whole bunch of molds. Guys, you could repaint and remold these guys until the end of time. You could use these Micromasters as like con exclusives because that's what they did. When those mini cons came out with Armada, they'd be like, hey, it's the perfect like miniature convention exclusive thing where it's just like, hey, take one of those guys, paint them blue, and make them like a free giveaway figure or something. BotCon took full advantage of that. Minicons were all over the place with BotCon product after like obviously Fun Publications took over because they were just so cheap to manufacture, and those molds you could go forever. And like I'm looking at like the Unicron trilogy history in my display, and like those mini cons they carry over all the way into even Transformers Prime. Like they have a long lineage of history that goes well over 10 years, and they still pop up to this day every so often. I know when I go to Azusa's table at TFCon, sometimes I find mini-con repaints and remolds I forgot even existed. Because there's so many of them in Japan. Because Japan, they'd be like, hey, buy a 4,000 yen of product and you get this free clear Minicon repaint of this truck, right. that was once so-and-so. So it's the same thing here with these Micromasters. Hasbro, just milk it. Just milk it. Go crazy with these guys.
Hasbro, I just want my Le Mans looking blue Minicon and a Lamborghini-esque looking one, specifically Diablo that's bright yellow. Can I get that? I just want that.
And again, those two molds, if we get a Lambo looking one and a Le Mans looking one, that opens the doorway to so many repaints later.
I just want to get those.
And on top of that, if you want to have fun with little repaints that'll just be of Generation 1 characters, like just how Hot Rod got turned into a Micromaster, you get a Le Mans one, you got a Wheeljack, you get a Lamborghini looking one or a Ferrari looking one, you got a Sideswipe Sunstreaker, you know what I mean?
Do we talk about the military patrol one right now?
No, well, I touched on it quickly, just their trademarks, but if you want to touch on them too.
I kind of feel like they could probably take those two, the military patrol, and then if they were still marketing the last movie, not Bumblebee, but the one before that.
Oh, The Last Night?
The Last Night. They could probably repaint those into Bumblebee and Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
In World War II.
I was looking at Growl's alt mode, and I was just like, man, like, it's kind of funny that we have that Studio Series one coming out soon, and it's very similar. It has that. It's called a Willy. It looks like the Willy, like the World War II Willy that was retooled into it looks today looks like a Hummer, but
right.
It's like, geez.
But you can see it, right?
Yeah, I see it 100%. I agree. Especially even like Bomb Shock's robot mode face, like you retool it a little bit and it could have been a Bumblebee. And same thing, if you kind of retool Growl's face, if you give him more like, again, human kind of looking face as opposed to the more robotic looking face, you could get like a G1 Hot Rod there. Yeah. I could see it. Again, but that's the thing with Micromasters. You could repaint the hell out of these forever, just like the Minicons did. Forever. If you're a Minicon collector, and me, I buy Minicons whenever I get a chance if it's something I'm missing, but like that's the biggest gap in my collection. Like people are like, oh, you have every Transformer. I'm like, not when it comes to Japanese Minicons. There's so many repaints, I don't even know where to begin. So it's that I could keep collecting forever. The last thing I want to touch on, and it's just the ramp, as I want to call it.
They're nickel and diming us on the ramp.
So part of the Battle Master assortment, which is something that has existed since the beginning of Siege, which were like the the Target Master kind of assortment or weapons, we have that of the character of Soundbarrier. That's his name. Now he turns into a shield. That's what he's being marketed as.
Like a riot shield.
Yeah, but he also doubles as a Micromaster ramp. And there's this great photo. I had it in my Soundbarrier segment when I talked about him individually. Someone had a whole bunch of sound barriers attached to each other, like the army built them, and he could just make a street. I like that. There's a Transformer that turns into a bridge or a ramp, whatever you want to call it. And I find that his robot mode is very indicative of Starsaber's smallest robot piece, which is like, because you have Starsaber's actual big robot, then you have his smaller robot of Saber, and then you have his Brain Master and his small. It looks like the Brain Master. There's a lot of similarities there, and I wonder, I'd love to see, because I can't, correct me if I'm wrong, and no one corrected me when I talked about it originally, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is he really based on someone else? It's not popping up in my mind here. I look at it and I see Yuki, as I call it, Yuki or Courage, Starsaber's little robot, his Brain Master. But I wonder if they went with that, if that's, because this is not based off of, everything really with Generations is kind of based off of previously existing characters, and this Battle Master price point is where they kind of have fun and make original characters, like we had Smashdown, right, like the bull and everything. So I wonder if this is them having fun and it's just an original character, but is there any kind of homages in the back of all of this? But I really dig it. I really like that he turns into ramps and he has his little accessories that you could attach for a little explosion and stuff, like all the Battle Masters have. They little, I guess we'll call them energy accessories, or so I really dig that a lot. This is really great. And then we'll get to the final one, the leader class. And it's that of Optimus Prime. Now, there's some major housekeeping I need to do on this. So the images that have been showing up online do not 100% represent that of the final product. It seems that the fists on the Optimus, as well as the roller turret control deck area there, are going to be light gray, which makes a lot of people go, mrr. And I agree with them, because I think the light gray is kind of weird, but apparently the way that it worked on the sprues and the assembly in the factory, it had to be light gray. It couldn't have been blue, otherwise it would have cost a little more. So, I mean, it's not stopping people from painting it, But yeah, so he's going to have. But that being said, we just got a Masterpiece 3.0 that just came out. And this goes back to what I just said at the beginning. Budget Masterpiece. This is a budget Masterpiece Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he has a matrix of, leadership that could come out. He has articulated fingers, so he could hold that matrix of leadership. He has the roller with the repair bay. It obviously doesn't have all the crazy details. He has the ramp, which again still has that Micromaster gimmick with the attachable pieces, so that you could build a city here.
And then the ramp can actually come off and be a shield.
Yeah, it has the ramp that comes off, and you could see the 3mm pegs on the arms. The one thing that's not shown here is someone took a really good shot of the back of the toy at the convention, so his wheels are stored behind him, kind of like jet propulsions. So that's how they kind of make a compromise in hiding the wheels and stuff and getting that really good upper body chest, if you will, that looks really good and slim and everything. But I mean, this is an incredible job. Like it's funny. Like we keep getting these Optimus Primes that are in retail that do a really good job of looking like its old Generation 1 counterpart. Like even the Siege one did a really good job in the robot mode, not so much the alt mode. And now we have this one, which comes with a roller trailer and everything. Hey, if you didn't get a 3.0 for $400, I'm pretty sure you could pick this up for like, what is it, American retail? $59.99, $79.99 Canadian. Pretty good stuff.
Yep.
What do you think of this guy?
He's pretty cool. I'm again, like you hit the nail on the head there, saying that it's basically the I don't even want to call it the budget version, but yeah, it's the pared down version of the MP version that's out now.
What we literally just got weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It looks really cool, and oh man, like we're always like, they can't do anything else with Optimus. They can't make him different. And they just do it. Like it's just so weird all the time.
I look at everything we've discussed, and I'm telling you,
like again, and also we were saying before that the the powered up Orion Pax, was like, oh yeah, that's like a pared down version of MP Prime, MP10, and then now they have this a pared down version of what, MP41, MP40 was it?
44, I
44.
Yeah.
Just
could be wrong. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's I think it's great for collectors that don't really have the budget for big expensive product like that. $400 is not a lot to sneeze at. Not to mention, to buy online. It's something
especially if you just got Unicron.
Yeah, especially with Unicron. That's gonna be this month is gonna be murder for me. I don't even want to get into that, but this month is gonna be murder. If you're gonna see me at TFCon by the end of this month, yeah, it's gonna be murder for me. Anyways, but yeah, so this is great though. This is really cool, and to me, it always makes me happy when they have something that's an affordable alternative. That people have a choice when it comes to certain product. And I know that when it came to that Masterpiece Optimus, a lot of people were not happy about that price. So this is something that could fit the gap. And according to this, I mean, it's 7 inches tall, comes with his ion blaster, removable matrix of leadership, so it'll fit in perfectly with your other Transformers, because at 7 inches tall, even though it's a leader class, it still works with the Voyagers. It's not a leader class toy that's massively tall for a leader class toy that's going to be out of scale with your Voyagers. The leader class price point is more present because of that of the trailer. The next thing I want to touch on is that of the Cyberverse stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, I was talking about this on Twitter about how Cyberverse is a great show, but the toys were just not cut in the mustard. They're just not good. They're just like, especially like how some of them just do not represent what's going on the screen and everything. And I did a big post about it, and I was comparing it to that of, like, what if like the movies came out and all we got were fast action battlers, and that post went viral because a lot of people agreed with me on that, because a lot of people love Cyberverse but hate how the toys look. Someone at Hasbro's listening. I'm not saying they're listening to me, but someone at Hasbro clearly saw how popular Cyberverse is, And they decided they're going to be making a specific price point. Now, the deluxe price point that we have right now with Cyberverse and retail is called the Warrior price point. They're actually bringing the deluxe price point to Cyberverse with that budget, and they're going to be making a whole bunch of better Cyberverse toys of characters. They say that they have a plan for 8 deluxes of 8 specific characters. They showed us 4, and each character is going to come with a piece for a army builder character of McAdams, aka Alchemist Prime, which I think is amazing that they're doing that, because a lot of the original Primes, they didn't have alt modes like the original 13. So making toys of them has always been kind of a difficult thing. And then, of course, a character like McAdams, which is like, he doesn't really have an alt mode. How do we, release him? And so this is a good, clever way to do that. The last time they did this with Transformers was Transmutate, another character that kind of had an odd story to explain an alt mode and selling it individually. So I love this. I think that the Optimus looks great. I think the Bumblebee looks great. The Shockwave looks as good as all the Shockwaves, but Shockwave always looks good. And I think the Megatron looks great. I love that the Optimus has a Matrix opening chest Matrix gimmick,
which is very surprising for a deluxe figure too.
For a deluxe figure, exactly. I'm very excited about this, and I'm very happy that I didn't buy any of these characters yet because honestly, I got really like Cyberverse, especially just as a little note here. Cyberverse Season 2 is amazing, and it was so amazing that when I was done it, I was going to Walmart just to do groceries and stuff, and I was staring at those toys going like, I want to get these characters, but these toys suck.
What about the one with the vehicle and the vehicle armors?
Here's the problem. They don't look like they do in the show.
Oh.
That's the problem.
I thought I didn't get to see them in the show yet, but I still felt that certain ones look pretty nice.
Wendell JawzD will see it sooner or later. We'll do a talk about Season 2. We're going to do a talk about like Season 2 as a whole instead of just individual episodes. Season 2 as a whole of Cyberverse in the future, because not a lot of people have seen it yet. It's run its course already, but only in like European countries and Australia, and so people who did see it like me saw it through dubious ways. But we will get around to it, and we're going to talk about all of Season 2 as a whole in the future, so get ready for that. But it's something that, unfortunately, even the Spark Armor stuff that you're referring to doesn't really look like it. And it kind of also, because the Spark Armor toys, because they're in that Warrior price point, it's like they're scouts mixed with armor. And again, but it's don't think Scouts Revenge of the Fallen circa 2009. You know what I mean? Think what a scout would be in the already kind of low budget Cyberverse price point.
Okay.
So it's like, I really want to get a good Cheetor, but the Cheetor is kind of locked in that budget.
Like, I'm looking at Skybite. That's why. That's my dealie.
Oh, well, you know what?
That's my Jimmy Jam.
And Skybite's in the show. And I mean, like, in the same way that I still want to get the Cheetor because I just love Cheetor. You know what I mean? So regardless if the toy is amazing or not, I just want to have a good Cheetor toy, or just to have, a Cheetor toy, because we haven't had one in such a long time that was an original character outside of Masterpiece and stuff. So this would be really cool to get, but they just weren't cutting it as, like when you look at Transformers Prime and you go, wow, I love the show, and then you have the toys that were coming out at the same time and they were great. You look at Transformers Animated and you go, wow, I really like the show, and the toys that were coming out at the same time, they were great.
Yeah.
And I could go back even to Cybertron and Energon.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Armada, but that's, now we're picking on toys that are almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
So, but the point is that in 2019, when we have such great studio series stuff, when we have such great generations, whatever you want to call it right now, our War for Cybertron stuff with Earthrise, it's such a shame that our one brand that has a TV show doesn't have the great toys. So they clearly address that. We have 4 that are revealed right now, 4 more to come. I'm really hoping Hot Rod's one of them, because Hot Rod's a big part of Season 2, and he made me love him even more. And his original Cyberverse toy, and I have it, is a floppy effing mess. Oh God. People asked me why I didn't do a review on it, because I would have been like, I would have been flopping that toy around, just going like, this thing's terrible. Doesn't look like the animation model, and it's just not a good toy in general to begin with. They took so many shortcuts on paint. It's the first time a Hot Rod toy, the spoiler, like in car mode, you have the yellow spoiler. They didn't bother to paint the other side of the spoiler.
Oh, no.
So in robot mode, the spoiler has red on the back because they didn't bother to paint it. That's how low budget it is, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that we get a Hot Rod in this. Let us know what you think in the comments, especially like, who do you want those other 4 to be? I would like Windblade, Hot Rod, RC, and maybe, I guess, revisit Grimlock, although Grimlock's toy wasn't too bad the first time around. It's the same thing like Shockwave. Shockwave was one of those characters that, because of his design, the simplicity of those Cyberverse toys were fine with him. So maybe Grimlock also was kind of like that, because, I mean, it's the G1 Dinobot transformation. Dino T-Rex transformation. It's so simple to begin with.
Right.
But, I mean, maybe Grimlock, maybe I don't know, maybe one of the fembots. Just we didn't get.
Yeah, I would say personally,
Slipstream,
any of the new fembots and Blur. Those are.
Oh yeah, Blur.
I want Blur. Right. I want
okay,
more Blur.
Yeah,
more
I want Blur. I want Blur too. Yeah, Blur, Hot Rod. Okay, Blur, Hot Rod, Windblade, and RC. RC needs RC, because that RC in Cyberverse is awesome too, by the way. So like, and again, so you get those 8. Each one comes with a piece. You build your Alchemist Prime, aka McAdams. Amazing. All of these are going to be day 1 buys for me. I am so hyped about these because the show is so good. Definitely go watch Cyberverse if you haven't. Especially season 1's a slow burn. Season 2 is amazing. It's kind of like Beast Wars. Season 1 was a slow burn. Season 2 was amazing. So definitely that. That's all we can really say. The last thing I want to talk about with New York Comic-Con is the stuff that caught our eye that wasn't Transformer related. We'll make this short. Storm Collectibles did some really cool Mortal Kombat stuff, and some really cool other fighting game related figures. Caught my eye. Looks really cool, and they also revealed their Star Wars Adventures of the Galaxy Luke Skywalker, so I'm kind of digging that. All the other stuff wasn't really that much new reveals. I know that there's a pop vinyl Huntress that came out that I had to track down for a certain someone, but that's about it, really. What about you?
I was looking at the King of Fighters 98 stuff by Storm Collectibles. So they have Terry Bogard, they have Ori. I think there's a Kyo, but I can't seem to find it right now.
It's somewhere there, yeah, but there is a Kyo. Yeah.
And I also saw there was more video game stuff related. What's his name? Chakan? Chakan's name of that character?
I have it opened up right now. So Aaron Archer, Hasbro's own Aaron Archer. He's currently working on a project with a company called The Yeti. Not The Yeti, The Yeti. TheYetee.com. And they're doing a little project where it's the smart... I've always said this. It's the triple threat. Do a comic book, do a video game, do an action figure. And in this case, the Yeti, they do T-shirts, they do pins, they do all kinds of stuff, and they did a collaboration with the help of Aaron Archer to kind of bring back a cult classic game called Chakan, which was an old Sega Genesis Mega Drive Master System game. And they did an action figure, they did pins, they did T-shirts, they did prints, and they did a comic book with the help of Aaron Archer. So if you go to the website that I just listed, you could pick up all of that stuff, and they showed off some of their stuff at New York Comic-Con. It made its big debut this weekend, and the action figure is online. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get the website to load for some reason.
Do you want me to send it to you, or...?
Oh, no, I have it open. It's just not loading up. But I think the figure is $19.99, which is fairly affordable. And like the pin, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff. It's really awesome. So if you want to support the creations of Aaron Archer and all the cool stuff that he's done in Transformers in the past, he's doing this project too. So be sure to check that out also.
And then also looking at Figma, they have a Bloodborne figure and a Sekiro figure. So those things look pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff this weekend, but that's about it more or less. That was JawzD's hot takes on that of the New York Comic Con. He'll definitely be back in the future when we do some other stuff. How's it been moving into your new joint?
It's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. I just have to set up the new desk, and I just been very much putting it on the back burner because it's been a bunch of other things to put up, bookshelves and getting things out of boxes still, and still moving in some stuff for the winter, basically, because winter's coming.
And the toy display isn't up yet.
No, not yet.
See, now everyone, I love it. Like when I moved into my place, everyone was like, wait, the Transformer display isn't up yet? And it'd be like 3, 4, 5 months in, right? And I'll be like, when you get your own place and you have a big Transformer collection or a big toy collection in general, you'll understand. And
I'm starting to like, understand the spacing for the apartment and for specific bookshelves and the ideas I have for it, but it's just getting it done is the other way of doing it too. That's the other part.
A lot of people were asking, "Where's JawzD?"
No, I'm here. I'm here.
So there's the update, and he'll be back. We'll definitely do the Cyberverse season 2 roundup and give our opinions on that because it was so good, and I want JawzD to finish it, so we could gush about it. And but that's it. Let us know what you thought about everything. Let us know what your favorite thing at New York Comic Con was, Transformers or otherwise.